Hi, now what we're going to do is we are going to practice solving for y, because sometimes you're going to have an equation um, that needs to be put in slope-intercept form so that you can identify the slope and the y-intercept, which is what we were talking a little bit about in the last notes on 16. So on problem number 1, what we have here is we have 3x plus 2y equals 12. So what we want to do is we want to move everything away from our y. So we're going to move this to the other side. So 3x is positive on the left, so it's going to become negative on the right. And then we still need to get y by itself. So the inverse of multiplication is division. So we're going to go through and divide every single term by 2. So that cancels out. And we are just going to leave this negative 3 over 2. We're going to leave that as a fraction because our slope represents rise over run. So we're going to need both the numerator and denominator a little bit later when we start graphing that. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So there is our equation in slope-intercept form. The slope is negative 3 over 2, and the y-intercept is 6. Let's look at problem 2. So again, we're going to move this negative 3x over to the other side. So if it's negative on the left, it's going to become positive 3x on the right. And then we're going to go through and divide everything by 2. So again, we have 3 over 2x plus 6. Number 3, we're going to move the negative 4x over to the other side. Since it's negative on the left, it's going to become positive on the right. And then we're going to go through and divide everything by 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. So it's 2x minus 12 divided by 2 is 6. Now later on when we start graphing this, you're going to have to understand that this 2 represents 2 over 1. So the rise will be 2 and the run will be 1. But if we're writing the equation, we want it in simplest terms. So I don't want you to put a whole number as a fraction. Just leave it as a whole number. All right, let's take a look at number 4. Oh boy, everything's on the left side. So what you need to do is we're just going to start moving things away from that y term. So I'm going to take my x term and move it over, and I'm going to take this constant of a negative 6, and I'm also going to move it over. Now then, we're going to end up with 2y equals. That 0 right there on the right, it's just a placeholder. So we're not even going to write it down. So the negative 2x on the left, when we move it over to the right, will become a positive 2x. That negative 6, when we move that over to the other side, it's going to become a positive 6. So now then we're just going to go through and divide everything by 2. So here, 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 1 times x is just x. And then 6 divided by 2 is 3. Number 5. Well, our x term is already on the right side. So all we have left to do is just to divide by 3. So y equals negative 9 divided by 3 is negative 3x. So our slope is negative 3. Now, we'll get into this a little bit later, but if you don't have a y-intercept, it's understood to be 0. But again, if we are writing an equation, I want you to write the equation in simplest terms so we wouldn't put 0 there. Number 6, we need to move that 2x over to the other side. So that will give us negative y equals negative 2x plus 3. Now, I don't know if some of you may be thinking, why do I have to put the x term in front of this constant 3? You don't have to. If you wanted to make it look like this, negative y equals 3 minus 2x, that's also okay. I'm just in the habit of putting it in slope intercept form. Your slope is listed first, then your y-intercept. But that's the only reason I do that. So if you're more comfortable with just putting that 2x to the right of the 3 like I did right here, then that's fine. All right, so then the last thing we have to do is just to go through and divide everything by a negative 1. So y equals negative 2 divided by negative 1 is positive 2, and 3 divided by negative 1 is negative 3. All right, so that's just a little bit different. We're just going to keep working at solving for y. That is such a very important concept in algebra. If you can solve for y, then you can get the calculator to help you graph, because you can put that in slope-intercept form in the calculator, and it will graph it for you. It will you can make a, see a table of values. So you can just do a lot of things with it. So that's one reason why you might have thought, why are we solving for y right now? Well, we're just beginning this because it is such an important concept. All right, let's take a look a little bit at review. It says when the domain is, and you would actually read this as x such that x is negative 3, 0, and 4. Find the range in the function f of x is equal to negative 2x minus 4 over 3. All right, you can very easily use your calculator, or if you didn't use your calculator, you would put negative 3, 0, and 4 in place of x, which is in the numerator. All right, so we're basically negative 2 times negative 3 minus 4 all over 3. Okay, so negative 2 times negative 3 is 6. 6 minus 4 gives us 2. So we would have 2/3 as one of our answers. All right. Then we're going to put 0 in this place. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to erase that negative 3. And I'm going to put a 0 right there. So negative 2 times 0 is just 0. 0 minus 4 is negative 4. So we've got negative 4/3. So I'm trying to put this in order from least to greatest. I haven't looked ahead, though, to know where this next one goes. So now we're going to put a 4 in place of 0. So here's our 4. So we have negative 2 times 4 is negative 8, minus 4 is negative 12, divided by 3 is negative 4. So negative 4, negative 4/3, and 2/3 would be your answer here. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at number 8. It says solve the following literal equation for W. Okay, so this is kind of what we were doing when we were solving for Y earlier. We just have to look to see what we want to move. So if we want to solve for W right here, here's your W, we want to start moving everything else away. So we first need to move this 2L over, because this perimeter is equal to twice the length plus twice the width. So since the 2L is positive on the right, it's going to become negative on the left, and that's going to be equal to 2W, and that's 2 times W. So the inverse of multiplication is division. So if we want to solve for W, we're just going to solve from right to left instead of left to right. So I'm going to go through and just divide everything by 2. All right, so now when I write it, I'm actually going to put my W on the left. Now, P over 2, that cannot reduce. So this will just be P over 2 minus, now these 2's cancel out. So then I'm just going to be left with L. So there's the answer to those. There's the answer to the other ones. All right, number 9, it says, find the rate of change from the following table. So whenever you were doing this, remember one of the things that I said doesn't always work, and that's basically to divide the y divided by the x. It doesn't always work. So one safe method that I had you do was basically take 2 y values and subtract them in the numerator, and then the 2 x values, subtract those in the denominator. So I'm just going to actually take the very first 2 right here. Well, if I can get my pen to activate here. All right, so, and I'm just, so I won't get a negative, I'm actually going to take my 60, my bigger number. And remember, this is dash, line, dash. So I'm going to have 60 minus 40. And then the 60 has the not the x-intercept, but the x value as 4. So you need to make sure that the numbers right here above each other, so the 4 and the 60 right here, those represent an ordered pair. So this is your x term, and then this right here is your y term. So that's an ordered pair of 460. As is over here, this is 240 for an ordered pair. So 60 minus 40 is 20. And 4 minus 2 is 2. So 20 divided by 2 is 10. So that is the rate of change. And this talks basically about you have the number of months and the start height when purchased. So I think they were talking about a tree or something like that was growing. So the tree basically grew 10 inches per month. And if you can see, like right here, if I put a 3 right there, and then I added 10, I would get a 50 right here. So at 2 months, it's 40. At 3 months, it's 50. At 4 months, it's 60. And some of you could probably have figured that out even without using the slope formula. Number 10, if y is directly proportional to x, so remember, y over x. And y is 15, so this will be 15 over when x is 2. Says, what is the value of x? So we want to know what x is down here when y is 30. So there's all kinds of ways to do this one. You could go like 15 times what gives us 30? Well, that's 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. So x would be 4. Or you can do the cross multiplying and do the little butterfly method. Here's your little tentacles on your butterfly. So yeah, 15 times x is 15x equals, and 2 times 30 is 60. And then you would divide both sides by 15. And 60 divided by 15 is 4. Okay, so there's just a couple different ways that you can actually identify what a missing value is to set up a proportion. All right, number 11, it says using the answer along with the given information from problem 10, find the slope. And it says hint, write the order pairs first. All right, so let's go ahead and write the order pairs. So if we had on the very first one right here, when y is 15 and x is 2, so that's going to be an order pair of 215. And then it says, what is the x when y is 30? Well, we found the x was 4 and the y is 30. So now we can do our circle, circle, dash, line, dash. So we can do 15 minus 30 over 2 minus 4. That would give us negatives, which is fine. But if you want to look ahead and just get a positive number to begin with, so I'm going to go 30 minus 15 and 4 minus 2. So 30 minus 15 is 15, and 4 minus 2 is going to give us 2. So you can leave it as 15 over 2, or it simplifies to 7.5 as a decimal. All right, let's go ahead and look on the next page. As a review, it says to find the slope. So remember, the slope is your rise over run. Never, ever use the diagonal. So your rise is 2, your run is 5. So we can just leave that as 2/5. Number 13 says, which of the following expressions represent the nth term and finding the total number of blocks? So we're going to make a table of values, and we have figure 1, 2, and 3. And then it says we want the total number of blocks. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in figure 1. Number 2, oh, by the way, this would be our n, and this would be the total of blocks. Number 2, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And number 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So what we can do then is we're going to come over here and we can try to like put a 1 right here. So 1 plus 5, that gives us 6. We need, when n is 1, to give us a 5. So it's not going to be that one. Letter B, we have 2 times 1 plus 3. So 2 times 1 is 2 plus 3 is 5. Ooh, that one may work. Let's try a 2 here. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 plus 3 is 7. Good. Okay, let's now try a 3 there. So 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. That's exactly what we want. Now, another thing you could do, of course, is you could put these expressions into your calculator and create a table for you. So that is just another option, but I'm just showing you by hand. I hope this review on some of this helps you to prepare a little bit more for your test that's going to be coming up in the near future.